hearts light and gay. Mid the golden rays of the setting sun at the close of an Irish day, the music from the hills around me echoes clear and true, as down the path we wander mid the fragrance and the dew.
Yeah, thank you, Cathaoirleach. I would like to second the proposal of the adjournment. And I would like to extend my sympathies to the Flannery family on the recent death of former Fine Gael councillor John Martin, who served as a member of Mayo County Council representing the Swinford Council area for 25 years. John Martin was first elected in 1979 and re-elected in 3 consecutive elections. During that period he served on a number of different committees, including the Western Health Board, Western Track and Agriculture. It's an understatement to say that the former councillor was a character. John Martin was a very interesting man, highly intelligent. He was upbeat, enthusiastic and energetic, very witty with a great turn of phrase, and he had the ability to turn what would appear to be a delicate, negative, doomsday situation into a positive. He was very passionate about his role as a public representative and had very strong opinions on many different issues. And on numerous occasions, in this chamber and at other forums, he forcefully articulated the merits of his viewpoint. He could be outspoken, colourful, even controversial at times, but he was always 100% committed to his constituents and was very active on the ground. And any of you who have ever campaigned in the Swinford Council area will be aware of the esteem in which he was held, and that the name John Martin Flannery was a household name throughout the council area represented so well for a quarter of a century. There's no doubt the pinnacle of his career was the year he was Cathaoirleach. He excelled in his role as first citizen of Mayo and was in his elements representing this local authority at Mayo associated events regardless of the location. One of his priorities during that year was to consolidate the links with the Mayo diaspora, as John Martin was very conscious of the contributions they had made in the past and would continue to make into the future to his native, beloved County Mayo. In later years, John Martin loved to reminisce and recall many of the great experiences he enjoyed so much during his term as a public representative. And he would proudly boast of the fact that many of the Fine Gael colleagues whom he served with in this chamber would turn to greener pastures. Shannon, Dáil, the European Parliament, junior ministers, senior ministers, Lascahir, the Shannon, and to the highest office in the land, the office of an Taoiseach. Of course, the former Fine Gael Charlestown-based public representative had many other interests in life. He was a very keen farmer, actively involved in the IFA for many years, and he had deep interest and a great love of everything associated with agriculture and the west of Ireland. The late councillor John Martin Flannery will be sadly missed by all who knew him, but especially by his immediate and extended family members who were at all times his number one priority. For yesterday, our one most Jewish, our mother fire. Councillor John Coughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to be associated with those Martin, the former councillor there. I never served in Mayo County Council with John, but indeed I knew him quite well in the area, and John was a distant relative of my own, his late mother coming from my home parish of Kilravee. John, as former speaker said there, was a colourful character and indeed attracted much attention in the media for his outspoken comments. But I can assure the councillors in this room here that it isn't for that he will be remembered, but rather for his work on the ground in the Kilravee, Charlestown and surrounding areas, and the work that they are in today, the bins that he removed that was made life easier, the roads that he got done, and the numerous jobs and projects that John brought here to the council and saw through. Those are the things that he will be remembered for and still remembered today.
Councillor Jerry Murray.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. I'd like just first of all to again offer my sincere sympathy to Martin Flannery's family, friends and relations, and his wide circle of supporters in the Old Swinford electoral area. John Martin worked very hard with myself for many years to deliver as much infrastructure as possible to the people of Charlestown and the general Charlestown area. Indeed, we worked in Swinford and Kelchermott as well, and Kilkelly. And I had a very good working relationship with John Martin. And when I was first elected, I looked at the house and we sat down and we did a wish list of stuff that needed to be delivered for the people and the communities that we represented. And over that period of time we worked together, and I can say that 90% of the stuff that was on that wish list, which was a lot of it was social infrastructure, economic infrastructure, all of that was delivered. We had a very good, excellent working relationship. We had a good rapport. John Martin had a great turn of phrase. He didn't mind taking on anybody, no matter who they were. He met them face to face, toe to toe. He never had an inferiority complex when it came to dealing with either establishment civil servants, be they local or national, or establishment politicians, be they local or national. And I was on a good few delegations with them, sometimes the very senior government ministers, and once John Martin was in the room, there were no holds barred. He'd say exactly and precisely what he wanted to say. Sometimes they mightn't like it, but he definitely sent the message home, and we always got subsequent satisfaction from those meetings and those delegations. So it's with huge regret that he has passed on. I worked with him on a number of local committees in Charlestown, including the Charlestown Enterprise Centre. He was chairman of that until his death, and even after leaving public office he was still very, very proactive, played a proactive role in the community, served on numerous committees. He was always a good man to go to in terms of advice. You know, this at times can be a serious business, but John Martin always brought a kind of a sense of humour to it, and we had tough and hard days in this chamber, but we also had days of great humour and great fun. And I think he was an excellent public representative. He was a man that got things done. He was on the HSE, on the Old Western Health Board, and brought us a new health centre into Charlestown. He worked hard for a new fire station for the town, which he succeeded in delivering, and a new water and sewage scheme in the 1980s. So John Martin had a huge sense of commitment to Charlestown, to Kilkelly, to Swinford, to the whole area, and delivered a huge amount of social and economic infrastructure to all of those areas. And I think he's left a great legacy. You know, a lot of the stuff we have we take for granted, and people don't realise that behind the scenes a lot of hard work and lobbying had to be done. And I think John Martin has left a huge, proud legacy, and certainly I will miss him for advice as a comrade, because whatever divisions we might have in the chamber, politically or otherwise, once we were elected, we always put on the Charlestown jersey and went out and did what we had to do for the people and the communities that we represented. And it was a great philosophy by John Martin. No matter what hassle or divisions or rows happened in a election campaign, once you were in the chamber, those were put to one side and we worked for the common good. And I think he's left a marvellous legacy in Charlestown, in Swinford, in Kelchermott, in all of those areas, and he will be greatly missed by the community, but particularly by his own family, and particularly by his brother who is here today, Pat. And as I say, the Lord have mercy on his soul, and hopefully he's looking down on us today, smiling from you off.
Chairman, as the longest serving public representative in this county, I had the great privilege of serving with John Flannery for many years, both in the old courthouse, now refurbished, and in this chamber. When he believed in something and fought passionately for it, he shot straight from the hip, and it was not help anybody that came in his way. You know, I remember sitting there, that was my seat, this was John's seat. And many is the time, get John going, I say, John, they're laughing at you. And he went to top gear, and I'm telling you, God of the man that stood up to both of them. I remember the night when I was fighting for a new library for Cathaoirleach, which is one of the greatest services provided in this town today, is the library in Cathaoirleach. And when I was fighting for it, I fought so hard that I was arrested I was taken out by the 3 police officers.
I was there.
And John Flannery stood up on the table and he sang, "It's a good voice, the closing of an Irish day."
No, that's wrong.
And he went into history for that,
What's the ball?
singing that song. As I said, he was one of my best friends, irrespective of when I left the party or not. He still called to me in my office, and we'd have many a chat about the olden days and about what was coming down the line and all the rest. And I thought he stand 7 years ago. He was keenly interested in standing as an independent. And I thought he was going to nominate, but he didn't. And thank God that he didn't. But to his family, I could speak here for hours about our family, because he was one of the best characters that ever came into this place. And highly intellectual and all that. And I'm telling you, nobody had pulled the wool over John Flannery's eyes. If they did, they'd end up with 2 black eyes. To his children, I would like to add my condolences to all the other councillors. But again, Chairman, he was one of the finest councillors and public representatives that I had the honour of ever serving with in this chamber, and I have served with a lot of them.
Councillor Jerry Coy.
Thank you, Chairman. First of all, I'd like to offer my sympathies to his family, all his friends. And it was just a short time before the death, I was talking to Johnny Murray on the street in Carrick, he was saying you should go over to see him and the thing, and I was planning to trip over, but sadly that didn't come to be. Now, I first encountered John down at the racing in July, along with Martin J. O'Toole and John O'Kelly. That was a memorable experience, I can tell you, because it was one that you wouldn't be likely to forget very handy. So I didn't meet him again until I got elected in here, and he sat down there, and Ring sat here beside me, and Paddy Burke was this side, and I'll tell you, it was an education in itself. You didn't need to go to university because you certainly got indoctrinated very quickly. But a lot of people mightn't know. Some people might have different things to say now when they hear this. I nearly left after a few months. He was one of the people that convinced me to stay on. Himself and Jim Mangan got rushed to them, and Michael Ring. And I was kind of bored here after a few months, and I thought things were going on very slowly, all that. So anyway, we had a great record. The one thing about John Flannery, and I could never actually figure it out afterwards, he'd always seem to be putting the bench on notice about something. And I said, John, what is the notice they're putting them on? I see you county engineers smirking up there about that road. You won't be smiling for I'm finished with you. And right enough, it would get good and it would get going. But if ever you were going into a battle, you'd be looking around the chamber who you bring with you. You'd certainly bring John Flannery. Because John Flannery wouldn't be gone if there was a row going on. He'd be the last man standing with you. He wouldn't be gone away for tea. He wouldn't be gone for a chat if there was something going on. And there used to be a lot of rows going on. And indeed, I don't know which one of you is right now because I'm kind of confused because the Lord of Mercy on John O'Kelly, I replaced him here and I went to see him shortly before his death. And I was telling him who was asking for him, Ring and Kenny. I said, John Flannery. And the words he spoke to me was the close of an Irish day. He always seemed to have it in his mind. Before that he had me told on several occasions that the guards came up to arrest. Not that I'd be surprised, Councillor Durkin. He might still bring them up to date. But that bit of fight was in him. And John stood up on the chamber and sang the close of an Irish day. Now you seem to be thinking that was the Rocks of Balls, so someone of you is slipping it. It was the close of an Irish day, and that's what John Old told me, and that's what I believe was the true story. But to all them people that are gone, they left behind a legacy. And I hope that we can in some way add to it, and add to the great things they've done. Councillor Murray has told everybody what he stood for around Charlestown, what he stood for around the county. And he could be in joyous mood here and have a great crack, but the serious end to John Flannery was the work he done on behalf of the people that elected him. And the people that elected John Flannery can hold their heads high, because they elected a true gentleman from Charlestown, and a gentleman that could stand with them in their hour of need. And I know he was upset on different occasions when his great friend died tragically over there. And you know, he never forgot the people that elected him. And he could have the chain of office, and he could have the chain, he could have anything he wanted in the chamber here. But everyone was treated on the same level playing field. The lovely thing about John Flannery, the row could go on here into the early hours of the morning. At that time we'd go on for ages for the county development plan. When we go out the door, whoever heard the row was, that was it. Whatever happened in Vegas stayed in Vegas. Whatever happened in the chamber stayed in the chamber. He never carried it out. He never carried it beyond the thing. But the next day, he'd shake hands, but the next day, the battle would be on again if he didn't get what he wanted, that he'd stick with it. So, I know his memory will live long, and if that's the way it should be, and may he rest in peace. Thank you.
Chairman, first of all, I just want to extend my sympathy to the Flannery family yet again on the passing of John and the extended family. When I think of John Flannery, I think of all the good times, and I think of the good times that I had down through the years in his company on numerous trips and meetings at home and abroad. As I said at the Claremorris municipal area meeting, John Flannery was the Muhammad Ali of councillors. He was the Muhammad Ali of councillors because he was so well able to fight his corner for the people of his area, and for the people of Mayo. And you know, you're going to look around Charlestown today, as Councillor Murray has said, and you can see the infrastructure that has been put in that particular area. He was an avid supporter of Knock Airport, and he supported at times even to his own personal detriment. I think about John Flannery, and I don't think he ever passed Claremorris on his way to a Western Health Board meeting that he didn't call in. That he didn't call in from here on the way down. And needless to say, the sitting went on for into the early hours, and put it like that, without going any further. He will be sadly missed by the farming community, and he will be sadly missed by his own community, and he will be sadly missed by his electorate. And John was a serious advocate for Mayo, or yesterday grow on.
Well, if I might, just on behalf of the staff and management over many years, 25, and the time that John has departed us, he has left many memories in both on the bench and through the workforce and through the management of the council, no more than in the chamber itself. He was definitely one of a kind, and he made a unique contribution to the history and the development of this county. He had the very special skill of being able to be direct while being humorous, without being either confrontational or over-confrontational, without backing away from anything or offensive. He always treated staff and management with respect, and he always worked well with the bench, notwithstanding the notice which he frequently served and the points which he frequently made. He worked, as someone said, as one of the early full-time Cathaoirleach to extend the global reach of this council, and he worked very well to connect us with our diaspora. But there was never any doubt as to where the centre of that diaspora was, or where the centre of the globe was, and that was in Charlestown. And any issue that came up in the chamber, in about 3 sentences, he could bring it back to Charlestown and relate it to the needs of people in the area and the desires of people in the area. He was an avid supporter of the airport as well. The development of the airport, I think, is probably one of the memorials that will stand the test of time in his memory. And on behalf of all of the staff and management, could we join with the members in extending our sympathy to his brother and to his extended family, and to say Arish J. Kerala and Jewish, this county and Charlestown in particular will be deplored for his passing.
Finally, I served with John Flannery. I had the pleasure of serving with John for quite a number of years. Everything has been said, but I would sum it up by describing him, first of all, as a man of great feeling. He would immediately identify potential in any proposal, and he was one of the first people in here to some laughter to suggest that the advances in technology was the way forward, especially in telecommunications. And he was one of the first people to propose that all councillors should be on email, but we didn't know what email was. I'll never forget that. And a lot of us didn't know what he was talking about. What part of the business? He was a man of extreme decency. So regardless of what part of the world you're in, with John Flannery, so he would never be hungry or thirsty in his company. He was an extraordinarily decent person, and as somebody said, politics and browsing the chamber were forgotten immediately he closed the door behind him. And the third thing has been mentioned and well articulated, his delivery to Charlestown. There are several monuments there as testament to that. And one can only, as Johnny Moore said, you can only have to go to Charlestown and you'll see the tribute to John Flannery there. Mr. Pat was here, and we're pleased that you're here, Pat. And to all members of the family, we repeat our condolences, and we hope and we know that John is looking down on us. John may he rest in peace.
Oh, tonight in fancy come and take a trip across the sea and meet our old companions in the place we long to be. For stamped upon our memory are the friends we used to know. So just tonight we'll revel in the thoughts of long ago. Through little lanes and meadows we will take a stroll once more and meet the laughing boys and girls we met in days of yore. The rivers, woods, and moonlight nights have the same old charm still, and the whistler on a summer's eve comes rambling o'er the hill. And this soft we roll through yon green grove with our young hearts light and gay, mid the golden rays of the setting sun at the close of an Irish day. The music from the hills around re-echoes clear and true, as down the path we wander mid the fragrance and the dew. Don't you recall, sweetheart of mine, this place where I met you? Like a rosy bower of happiness where love's young dream came true. The air was full of love's sweet song as I promised to be thine, and you forever that you'd be always mine. Oh, I'll ne'er forget when I set sail across the ocean blue. We stood on deck and watched the mountains slowly fade from view. At the last glimpse of old Erin, sure our hearts went up in prayer. Oh, God forbid we'd e'er forget our dear little isle so fair.